There we go. Okay. So, welcome to Organization Strategies with SeeSaw. I am Tracy Lenahan, the K-12 Digital Learning TOSA for the district, and I have with me Carrie Roderick, the Assistant Director of Assessment and Technology today. She's going to be monitoring the chat for me and also co-hosting and helping to answer some questions and add to some of these things that we're going to be talking about here today. So I'm going to get that out of there. Okay, so first of all, we have been using SeeSaw for about a month now, and a lot of things are going really well with it. And I think that it's important for you guys to know that we are here and we're going to work with you through some of the little bumps that we might have and trying to figure things out. Being that we're only a month into it, it's pretty remarkable what's been accomplished. And so this is just part of our continued support as we all learn this platform together. So we thought it'd be beneficial to kind of bring everybody together after having it for about a month and kind of discuss some organizational strategies for using this platform with our families and our students. So here's some of the things we're gonna discuss today. We're gonna talk about naming conventions of our activities, folders, scheduling of activities, distributing activities to specific students, sharing activities in the school and district libraries to kind of streamline the workload for everybody, using the sample student to look and see what your activities look like, using announcements, and then also talking about messages. And then at the end, hopefully we'll have some time for some questions and answers and try to figure out if there's any additional supports or next steps that we can do to support you guys. So what I'm going to do right now is I think I'm going to bring up let me stop my share real quick here, see what happened to my sorry, I thought I had this up here. Oops, there we go. There we go. Okay, let me screen share again with you guys. Okay, so I want to demo here in my demo class. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is naming conventions. And so Carrie had kind of come up with some ideas to help us name some of the activities to help students navigate the activities as well as the teachers and co-teachers. And so I want to show you an example of what we were thinking of. And so I'm going to go ahead and go into my activities here. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm going to go to, I'm already off, go to my ad, and I'm going to assign an activity. Now, I have a few things here in my library, and what I want to show you is what we're thinking here is, if I'm an intervention teacher, then I would probably want to name my assignment Mrs. Lenahan's Intervention and then the title, and I'm going to do that in just a second. We're also thinking that specialists, if you start the lesson by putting music and then the name of the lesson, library, and then the name of the lesson. And then if you're a therapist, you could do like speech and the name of the lesson. So you'll see here in my library, this is one that I added speech to the front of it. And this really just kind of helps the classroom teacher, the student, identify that this was assigned by my speech teacher. Same thing down here, I have a music activity. And then I also have something labeled as library. So what I'm going to do is show you how you would do something like this. I'm going to pretend that I'm an intervention teacher. I'm going to open this activity right here. And this is one that I had pulled from the community library. So I come down to these three dots, and I'm going to copy and edit the activity. If you're doing this, an activity like this, you're an intervention teacher or a therapist of some sort, you're probably going to want to come in and edit these activities if you're pulling something from the activity library. You might have to put some language supports in there or do some video or some audio recordings, things like that. So this is a strategy you're going to be used when you are pulling activities that are already made and you want to modify. But what I'm going to do is come up here to the activity name, and I'm going to actually type in, this is Lenahan's intervention, colon, and that's how I'm going to name this activity. I'm going to go ahead and come down here, and I'm going to tap save on that. Now, one of the other things I was thinking, and as we go through this and I show you what it looks like in folders, is you might want to also start with a date on the front of that. So instead of just doing Mrs. Lenahan's intervention, I might want to put 10-3 so that I can keep track date-wise of what assignments I'm sending out, just so I know when I go back into my folder and try to look at my assignments, I can kind of keep track. So that might be something else just to kind of stick in the back of your mind. It might be helpful. So this is what we're thinking for naming conventions, just to kind of keep things squared away from classroom, gen ed teacher, specialists, and then any type of support personnel. So I'd like to open this up to any questions about just this piece of what I'm talking about and how to do that. So Carrie, are there any questions, or does anybody want to comment on this piece of it before I move on to the folders?
No questions from my end.
Okay, great. Then I'm going to go ahead and go into the folders and go back to class. Now, we did a session the last couple weeks. One was with specialists and one was with our therapists and SPED personnel and those people, and trying to talk about how to do folders. So this is kind of playing on the folder piece of it. If I come over here to my activities tab right here, because normally, of course, when I'm a teacher in the class, it defaults to the journal. And if I come over here to activities and I go to this assigned to class right here, this is where I can locate any folders that might have been made. And so here in this class, there's an ELA folder, a math folder, science and social studies. Now, I did this the other day after Carrie and I were kind of brainstorming and thought, you know, this might help all of the teachers in the class keep the work organized. So as the classroom teacher, I have my 4 subject areas. And then there's also a specialist one. So this would be my music, my library. My specialist for that school would have their assignments tagged to this folder. And then you could also add a folder. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to add a new folder. And maybe I'm going to do this one is going to be for interventions. So I can have this folder as well. So you can create some different folders here. And what it does is it doesn't necessarily drag an assignment into that folder. What it does is tags that assignment with that tag so you can find it a little bit easier. And so if we have the classroom gen ed teacher having an ELA, math, science, social studies, and then we have a folder for any intervention teachers, and then a folder for the specialist, this might help keep things organized. I'm going to go ahead and close this out right here. Are there any questions about creating or managing those folders? Because I'm going to put all of this together in a minute, but I just want to kind of touch on these individual things first.
I don't see any questions yet.
Okay, awesome. All right, next thing what I want to do is talk to you guys about assigning activities. So I'm going to come over here. We all know how to do this. I'm going to come to add, and I'm going to go to assign activity. And I'm going to find this, I think I'll just do this, let me see, this place value one is fine. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to click on assign. Now, keep in mind that teachers and the intervention teachers are communicating with each other on what assignments are going to be modified that come from the gen ed teacher. So if I'm my gen ed classroom teacher, I'm going to come in here, and if I know that I'm giving this assignment to all of my students in the class, I can click right here to select them all and just assign. That's pretty much the way that everybody's been doing this. But if I know that I have 3 students that are going to be getting a modified version of this lesson, then I'm going to want to come into this area over here. This is my class, my classroom. I'm going to come over here. And again, I'm the classroom teacher here, the gen ed teacher. I might know that these 3 students right here are not going to get this assignment from me because my intervention teacher is going to be sending a modified version of this. What we don't want is students receiving double the work because it's being assigned just en masse from the classroom teacher. So let's say that I want everybody but these 3 students. The other thing that I can do right here is come over and tag it to my folder. So this is a math assignment. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to click on math. I can also come over and do my skills right here. And then I'm just going to go ahead and click on this green circle with the arrow. And this shows me that I'm assigning this to just 25 students, not 28. And I've tagged it to one folder. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to assign this. Now, when on the student end, just those 25 kids are going to see that assignment. And then the intervention teacher, so maybe this is the same one, but it's modified. I'm going to come in here to my assign. Now I'm the intervention teacher. I'm going to come in here and click on this. And I know I don't want to send this to all the students in this class. I only want to send it to those 3 that didn't get it. I'm going to come over here to my folder, and I'm going to make sure I tag it to my folder. And then I'm going to go ahead. I can attach the skills and do everything the same way. But now you can see 3 students are going to get this, and it's one folder that's tagged to. And then I would go ahead and I would assign that. So we really want to make sure that we have that communication open, that we know what assignments are being modified, and that when you're assigning these assignments, these activities, you're really conscious of who's getting what, so we don't overload the students. So any questions about selecting specific students to assign to?
There isn't any questions about that, but I think we need to intentionally review how you go to a folder to look at specific journals of students rather than looking at all of the journals together. So there's a couple questions about that.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great point. While we're still in assigning activities, though, I do want to talk about scheduling activities to go out. So if I have this assignment right here, oops, I'm in the wrong spot. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to assign an activity. And this is my activity I'm going to assign. Geez, sorry about that. Okay. This is the one that I want to assign. What I'm going to do is, I keep going to the wrong spot. I'm so sorry. Hang on one second. My brain's just a little crazy. The idea behind scheduling assignments is this. If you know what you're going to be giving, you have your entire week planned out for your students. The last thing you want to do is assign all the week's work in SeeSaw on Monday, because then that student's going to come in, they're going to see that they have 35 assignments that are incomplete. We want to really intentionally think about when those assignments get pushed out. So here I am in Assign. I'm going to come over here to this area. I'm going to assign this to all my students. I'm going to tag it to a folder. I'm going to go ahead and click on this. Down here is where I can schedule. So if I know that this is this assignment is for Tuesday, according to my week at a glance. This is a Tuesday assignment. I want to make sure that I'm going to send this out on Tuesday, and then what time I want it to go out, maybe 8 a.m. or something like that. So, oops, 13th, 8 a.m. And then I check this off. So if you're a planner, which most of you are, you're going to know that on Monday, this is the work I want the kids to do. On Tuesday, it's this, Wednesday. So instead of going in and assigning everything at once, be really intentional about going to the schedule button down here and scheduling those assignments to go out. And same thing with specialists. If the music teacher does their special for your class on Tuesday, then the music teacher wants to make sure that when they're scheduling for your class, they're pushing it out on that day and not Monday, especially if you're not doing this special till Thursday or Friday. So does that make sense for that scheduling piece? Really important, because we just don't want to overwhelm everybody. So you can schedule things out, but you just have to. One thing you can't schedule out though are announcements, only the assignments. So any questions about that piece?
Yeah, Tracy, I have a question about that.
Okay.
I was kind of under the impression that the students could work on their asynchronous library assignment at any time during the week, so that whenever it fits their schedule, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if I push it out for the day that I have them, I feel like they're less likely to even get to that.
So I would say in that case, yeah, you're absolutely right. If that goes out on Monday because they're able to work on it asynchronously whenever they want throughout, then that makes perfect sense.
Okay.
Yeah. Carrie, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I would just say be careful about sending everything on Monday though. So just kind of think through with your team. What we've run into is that families are seeing, 35 assignments on a Monday because everything's been sent out by everybody on Monday. So just, some teams are doing a really good job of having a conversation about making sure we're not overloading on Monday, but just being cautious about that is really helpful for our families.
Great. Okay. Now I'm going to get to the part, I think, Carrie, which is what you were talking about, how as a teacher or a co-teacher, I come into my class and, luckily right now I only have 5 unapproved posts, but you know what this is when you hit that journal and you get all of these, and it's challenging to go, okay, so this was library, so I'm the classroom teacher, I don't need to look at that one. And I'm going to go down here, and this one is an ELA, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. But if you've got students submitting at different times and different subjects, you could be looking at your ELA assignment for one kid, and then you're doing yesterday's math assignment for another kid, and just that switching that you have to do is really challenging. So when we do those folders, it makes things a little easier. So here I am as the classroom teacher. I'm going to come over to the activities button right here. And what I'm going to do is come over to where I have the assigned to class, and I'm going to come to this folder here. Now it doesn't have any numbers next to any of these things, but I'm going to go ahead and click on my ELA. And what this will do is sort just my ELA activities. So now I know I'm just focused on ELA. And this assignment right here, this Scrabble sight words one that I assigned, I have 3 kids who are waiting for approval on this. So I can open this assignment and I can come in here and see these 3 students and go ahead and provide them feedback and return that work to them and post that work. So that it's helpful because now I'm focused on just that one assignment. When I come down to this next assignment, I'm still in ELA, still have the ELA. There's 1 student that I haven't responded to. So maybe everybody else has done it. Maybe this one was turned in late. I can come in here and click on this one assignment and that 1 student's assignment. So you can kind of see it organizes this work. This one that I assigned already, I'm all caught up on. This one, I'm all caught up on. So then if I want to go back into my folders and I say, okay, now I'm going to grade my math stuff. I come over here. Here's my math folder. And then nobody has responded to this one yet. So I can come through like this and see by subject to kind of help you out. If you are one of the specialist teachers or an intervention teacher, you would come to your folder here, and then I can see, oh, okay, 1 person has responded to this and I can go in. So this is also where I was wondering if for some people it might be a good organizational tool to up here when you're labeling, if you want to put a date on it, just to kind of keep things squared away. That's completely up to you, but just another idea for trying to keep some of this stuff organized. So Carrie, was that what you were talking about when you asked that a few minutes ago?
Yeah, there was a couple questions about how this, the folders didn't seem to clean up when they open up and they see all that clutter in the journal. And so you're always going to see that when you first log in. Mm-hmm. And so what Tracy was showing, that's where the folders are important. You would go to your activities, select your folder with it, if it's music, go to music, and then you would see only the assignments you assigned. And you can look at just the students that have responded to your assignments. You don't have to worry about anything else that's in there. Mm-hmm. And only approve your things, not everyone else's.
Yeah, but it doesn't take it away from the journals, right? There's no way of actually lifting them and putting them into the folder so that they're not with the ELA, the math, and everybody else's.
So when you go to journals as well, and Tracy can show you, you can also look at journals by folder. So always at the first dashboard, you're going to see all assignments. But if you just want to look at specific journals, you can do the same thing. You can go to Journal tab, go to Class Journal, and there's the folder option there as well.
I have a question, and you may be getting to it later. This is Dina Ransom. On my phone, I'm a co-teacher to a couple of different SeeSaw accounts, and I have 1,448 as a number on there. What do I do to get rid of those? Because I don't want to go in and correct the teacher's materials that I don't have anything to do with.
So the thing with SeeSaw is it's sort of an all or nothing right now. And so if you are a co-teacher, you're not going to want to receive all of those messages. So you would probably just want to turn those notifications off. And then you're just going to have to go in and on your days, you're going to go in and check your student work, go in and check it. And I believe, is it through the wrench, I think here, Carrie? When you click here, I believe that you can come down to, and it could be on the wrong one.
It's in your settings for your...
My settings, okay. So if I come over here to where my name is and I click on this, and then I go to my settings right here. I get confused at what's in the wrench and what goes to the settings. But I can go to my account settings right here and come down through my profile. Right here where it has the notifications, this is where I can get rid of these right here so I don't get emailed or notified. Does that help that?
Tracy, I'm unsure if that will help because I've done that and I have 3,000 and some still. So I don't know if that's an answer, but I think we just have to ignore that.
Can you turn it off on your phone settings?
You can. Depends on what kind of phone you have too. If you have like notifications set, I'm looking at mine right now. If you allow notifications on your phone, you can have it, you can toggle to which ones you want to be notified of, and you can certainly turn the SeeSaw off. From within the SeeSaw app, I would have to go into that and play with that one and see. Someone else might have already tried to do that, but I do it just for my actual phone settings.
But I don't think it's the actual notification she's worried about. I think it's actually the number beside the class, beside your name up here, that she's trying to limit, which I don't think you can do because that's where you're a co-teacher in that room where there's that many things to do.
Yeah, I don't think you can get rid of that number.
You can go into your phone settings and get rid of the numbers for on your phone. You just have to go into settings and into SeeSaw.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just kind of play around with that and try to get help from each other on that. And I'll continue to play around as well. So yeah, it's a little daunting when you see numbers like that. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm that far behind. So
Yeah. There's a question about editing folders. How do you edit a folder, change the color of it, do that kind of thing? one
okay.
Edit folders.
Yeah, so couple ways, and I think that one way, one way is through the, let me see, because usually the way I go through is, okay, let me do this here. I usually just come into wait, how do I do it? Oh, I come into my activities and I come over to this little folder icon and I come in here and I click on manage folders. So I can create a folder. So if I want to create a folder here that's just my health and fitness, hopefully you would have yours underneath the specialist. But I can come in here and I can click on a color and then choose this. If I want to change or get rid of anything, I click on here. I can remove this folder from my class. So I don't have that one anymore. So that's usually how I get to it. I just come over to the folder icon. There's another way too, and I can manage my folders from here as well. I thought it was through here, but I can't remember because I haven't gone this way in a while. Manage teachers theme. So folders right here. Hey, I was right, I remember. So you can manage folders here as well. And it brings that up. But again, I usually just come over to the activities and click on the folder here. Anything else so far? I'm going to move on to the, yeah.
So there was a question about being able to place a folder within a folder. I have not seen that, to do like layered folders in a hierarchy. I think it's just the folder you have. So just being intentional about naming that folder.
Yeah, because earlier I was under the specialist and I was like, oh, can I do a music and a library and do it that way? And I didn't find any way to do that type of thing.
Yeah, it's just the one folder.
Would be nice.
Yeah. And then another thing that came up is, when we talked about interventions and teachers selecting students that may get another lesson, just to keep in mind too, that a lot of times it's just an add-on that the students get from intervention. It's not that they're getting a completely different lesson. So making sure that you're collaborating with your team to understand how that support is being provided, and the student may get the lesson that everyone else gets in the class, and then in addition an intervention. So just to kind of clarify that too for some incidents there too.
I had a question. This is Terry Cox. I had made an assignment. I edited it, and I assigned it to one student in one classroom. And I would like to use that same lesson that's edited and send it out to a different student in a different classroom. But I'm struggling with figuring out how to get that into my speech folder. I made a little speech folder because I'm a speech teacher, but do I have to regenerate it in each classroom?
So that's a great question. So let me show you what I think would be a good strategy is I'm going to go into my library and I'm going to find this activity. So let's say this is the activity right here. So it lives in my library. So it's always there for me to access. And then when I go to assign, all of my different classes are listed here. I can come in and click on here and select my students that assignment would go to.
Okay. Thank you. I'll try that.
And then I'm going to show you guys too how you can make collections as well, so that when you come in here, because as we're saving all these, I mean, I can't even imagine what your libraries look like with all the activities that you've been creating and assigning and stuff. So I kind of want to show you how to share some of those with each other and also kind of organize it for yourself. So I hope that helps a little bit.
Thank you.
Yeah. And if there's something else that you need that doesn't cover, just let me know and we'll try to troubleshoot it. Okay, so I'm going to move on. The other thing I want to show everybody here is we've had people ask about, can I get a student that I can go in and pretend like a sample student, which we have in here for you, to see what the activities look like on the student side. And so when you create your classes or your classes are created, you should automatically have a sample student here. If you don't have a sample student, you can come up to the wrench and you can come down to student and you can enable the sample student. So if you don't want the sample there because you have enough students and you don't need to see it, you can come in here and enable or disable this thing so that you can see what a sample student would see. So what I would actually do is I would go to like my activities, and let's say I want to see what this activity looks like from the student end. I'm going to go ahead and click add response as if I were a student. Oh, I only assigned it to certain students, so I can't do that. Let me see. This one has all the students. So I want to see what this one looks like. And you are going to choose the sample student because that's who's going to complete this work. So I can come in and see exactly what the student's going to see. Here's the instructions. Here's whatever I need to do if I have more pages over here. And then I can interact with this however the student would, and then I can go ahead and hit submit and then see what that looks like on the teacher end. So that's how you can use that sample student, just to get that view of what the student sees, because it's hard to see sometimes when you're building those activities what that looks like. So that's really handy for that. All right. Questions about samples?
Question.
Yep.
This is Dina Ransom again.
Okay.
Can I take somehow and copy an assignment that in SeeSaw and put it in and use it in my Google Classroom?
Not that I know of, because it's built within the platform.
You might be able to unlock the items and cut it out of SeeSaw and paste it into a Google Doc if they're images in SeeSaw. But then you would have to recreate it in a Google slide and then use it on Google Classroom. But you might be able to steal the images if you unlock them and then like cut them out or copy and paste them out of SeeSaw.
Great idea. Thank you, Stephanie.
See, this is why we get everybody together. All those brains out there. That's a great tip. Okay, the other thing I want to touch on while we're doing this, I'm going to go back into the library really quick. My library, activity library, and we all have our own libraries. So just our activities are here. It doesn't matter whose class it is, because you're all co-teachers. You can create your own, curate your own activities in here. So this is my library. These are the things that I've been working on, my recent activities. As you know, you can also go to school and district library, and we have some grade levels that are really starting to share activities that they're creating. And then there's also the community. So you've seen this is where you can go and get activities that are already made through the SeeSaw community. Now, I want to remind you that we really want to stick to our core curriculum. They have fantastic activities in here in this community section, but we really want to make sure we're hitting our core curriculum first. So that's where the school and district thing, library is really helpful, because if we have teachers that are creating things that go with the Go Math or the Reading Wonders and they're sharing them in this library, then everybody doesn't have to recreate those. So I just want to show you what this looks like in here real quick. So this is for our district. If I am a kindergarten teacher and I want to see if anybody has put anything in here from my district, there's all these activities in here. So Stephanie Thompson's been very, very busy. There's Deanna Vega. So these are all assignments or activities that have been created or modified by kindergarten teachers in our district. I can further filter this through choosing different topics this way. So these would be just the reading activities or the math, or however you want to do that. So you can search and see what our school and district has done. I can do this by different grade levels. So this is also first grade math. I can do first grade everything. So this is kind of nice. So if I am in my library and this is my assignment right here, I'm going to click on this really quick, because what I want to do now is I want to save this so other people can have access to it. I'm going to click on this and I am going to share the activity. Take this, and then up here is where I can share it to our district libraries, and I can click on share right here. And I can choose any grade levels that I want to save it, share it with. So maybe it's a first and second grade. And then if I want to tag it to any subjects, I can do that as well. And so on. So I can, and then here, I can have it go district-wide, or I can do it just to specific schools. And I click on this here, and then I share it. Now it will show up in that shared library. But I don't want to have it in there because I don't want to mess up everything that you guys have created. So that's one way that you can kind of divide and conquer the work when you're working in your PLCs and your first grade teachers and you're working on your Reading Wonders activities for the week. Delegate who's going to do what activity, put it in that library, and then you can all grab it and use it from that library, which is really convenient. In my library as well, I can create my own collections. So this is where I was saying, if you have a whole bunch of stuff in here right now, this tells me I have 8 activities in my library and they're not in a collection. But if I want to do a math collection, and maybe this is whatever my standard, I can create this. Now what I can do is I can put any of these that go in here into this collection. So I can start creating my own collections inside my own activity library. So then everything's not just all kind of jumbled together. You'll still have some recents up here, but you can start filing things in here. So questions about how to do that? Okay, the last thing I want to touch on before we open this up for Q&A is one thing about announcements. When I know there's been some concern about confidentiality when you have, if you have 15 adults in your classroom and the messages that are going back and forth between families and teachers and stuff, there's that concern about confidentiality. When I come in and do my send announcements, when I'm sending an announcement out, I have the option here to send it to my students or family members or all of them. Anything that I send through this announcement will be seen by all of my co-teachers. And if I am a specialist, if I'm a music teacher and I want to send a weekly announcement out to my families, my announcement will be seen by the classroom teacher. So whatever you send through the announcements is going to be seen by everybody that it's supposed to go to, whether it's students, family members, or both. When you send messages to families, these are private between whichever teacher sent it. So regardless of who's in my class as a co-teacher, if I send a message to a family member, it only goes to that family member and no one else can see that but me and that family member and that communication back and forth. And a kind of even a second layer of security is it'll only go to the specific family member you send it to. If there's a mom and a dad and they're split and the mom has a concern and you're having a conversation with the mom, the dad is not included in that. So it's very locked down as far as that is. So anything confidential that you're sending back and forth is only seen by the teacher that sent it and that one family member. So Carrie, do you want to add on to any of that before, and then we can open it up to some Q&A or anything I didn't cover that we had thought we wanted to cover in this?
So I guess in general, I think that's one of the places that are pretty messy right now that we're kind of grappling with so many teachers in the same message system. It's a great way to send out these blast family announcements. It's a great way to specifically have that conversation with a specific person. But if you're asking for responses back, I think that's what the hard part is. And that's where maybe you go back to, the other methods of sending out information. Doesn't really change it too much for families because they still get that email if you send it through SeeSaw. I practiced here. You can see my husband and I were guinea pigs to try this out. You get the email. So if you also send an email through Skyward Messenger so that you can get that message back, whatever it may be, you can schedule in Skyward Messenger. So we don't have a scheduling ability here in SeeSaw. So if you really are a person that likes to schedule out announcements, you might need to go back to that tool. So those are some things that we're just kind of working through the difference between what this tool provides and what maybe some other tools we have used in the past provide.
Okay, so I'm just going to open this up to anybody who has any questions, concerns that we want to bring as a full group that maybe we might want to discuss. Now's your chance.
I have a question. My email, even though I have it in my settings right now not to email me notifications from SeeSaw, I still get them. Do you have any idea what to do about that?
I don't, because I've turned mine off and I don't get those messages anymore. So Missy, we might just have to look at yours and see why you're still getting them, even though it's been turned off.
Okay. I bet you don't need it, but I'll even take a picture of my settings and show you that it's off. But I still get them. And I actually had Jeremy here the other day try to do something in my Gmail. He created a folder for SeeSaw to make it maybe go just directly into that folder, and that doesn't seem to work either. So thank you.
Anybody else? Questions, things that you want us to offer more support on that you can think of that we didn't hit on today? I know that, you know, we Carrie and I meet often and talk about some of these things coming up, and like to do these 1-hour sessions to try to answer everybody at once if we can. But is there anything else that's a concern to you, or something that's working really well?
Got a couple questions in the chat. There's one about send a Zoom link to a student for a therapy service. So that would be kind of creating an activity. I think then there's also how to see if assignments are missing. So I think that was kind of covered before when you clicked on the specific assignment in the activities. So if you go to that folder, click on the activities, and then you can see 3 students have turned this in, and it'll show you a snapshot of who has not turned it in. So that's one thing there.
So I can come to my ELA, and then I can see, okay, click on here, and this is where I see, oh, these people have submitted and I need to respond to. Do you want me to go through the activity for the Zoom link? I mean, I think what I would do is just, and there's might be a better way, but just off the top of my head, I think I just go in and create an activity and just put that Zoom link in there, and then assign that to whoever it needs to go to. Does that sound about the right way? And I would paste my link in here. And then I would save that assignment. And then I would come over here and say, oh, it's just going to this one student. I'm going to tag it to my folder and then assign it. That's the way I would do it. Does anybody else have a different way to do it? Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, you guys,
And a question that said ideas to get more participation. I guess the person that asked that question maybe elaborate a little bit of what we're talking about to get more participation. Is that to get more people to do the activities that they're being asked to do? Is that what we're looking for?
Yes, I'm finding a lot of people are the kids are not doing a lot of this stuff, and I'm wondering how much how much pressure do we put on? How much what do we do to increase this? Hey, it could and that's possibly something that maybe we for a future class on SeeSaw, and maybe linking up to other districts who have used SeeSaw since maybe March or something. I know CV has and whatnot, so maybe we can branch out and start getting ideas from other people.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I think that's just something in general we're all grappling with, is this idea of how do we get more students engaged in the current situation with doing these activities we're sending out digitally. I think that would be a perfect conversation in PLCs, at your building, and like you said, even reaching out to colleagues in other districts and seeing what kind of strategies they're using to get
I mean, I'm on it, but I'm not. They can't see me.
Have an answer. How familiar are you with?
Misty, you're not muted.
I've only used it with your class. I only posted that one thing.
Misty, we can hear you.
Misty.
I just muted Misty.
I forgot that we could actually do that. Okay.
Can I?
Yeah.
Can I say something for, this is for Sue's question that I answered, Sue Morrison. In when you add a sticker, like a cut and paste star from the internet, and you push the 3 dots, make sure you edit post and not copy and edit. Because if you copy and edit, you're creating that assignment again and then reposting it to the journal. But if you edit post, you're editing their original assignment, adding the star, and then saving it, and then approve it to the journal. I hope that made sense.
Thanks for sharing that. That's a great strategy.
So I am seeing Sammy's question about organizing assignments in the students' journals. I don't know.
Okay, I was like, just because, especially distance learning kids, there's, like 6 or 8 assignments a day times 5 days a week. Like at the end of 1 week, they're already going to have so many assignments in their journal. And I guess if they don't go back through and look at it, it's fine, but it's just going to build up. And there's going to be so many assignments in there for the year. Is there a way to organize it for them? I don't know.
So they can still click on the folders too. So if you can strategically create folders as a teacher, they'll still see kind of like you do, that running journal forever and ever, but maybe working with families to say, if it looks like there's so much and they just want to see what they did last week, and you had some kind of folder system to say, oh, here's just my math from whenever, or that might be a way to kind of help organize that. But yeah, it is for a forever journal through the year. And so it might just be that thinking differently about the folders too.
So it could potentially be a lot of folders by the end of the year too.
Yeah. Yep. Potentially could be a lot no matter what. And these things loop up with them. So our kindergarten kiddos, they'll have this house of everything they did in kindergarten. And then they'll have everything they did in first grade. So they're going to have a lot in their journal at the end.
When you think about it, it's just taking it, because everything's digital now. We talk about that digital footprint and stuff. Every single thing they do is captured. So before, where it might just be something that was like, oh, just a quick little practice thing, and it ends up in the trash, or it ends up, in the bottom of a backpack for a couple of weeks or something. Everything's just right there all the time.
I mean, I've archived it on my end so that when I go into activities, I don't see everything I've assigned. I'll just keep like the week or so in, but I just know it stays in their journals. So I guess it's organized on my end.
Yeah, I don't know if students can archive. I haven't checked that out to see if they can archive things as well. Because even just to be able to archive it, even if it's not organized, whatever, but so they don't have to look at it. So Morgan, you have a question?
Yeah, so sorry, I didn't want to try to explain it in the chat, but so I'm a resource teacher at Otis, and so I'm kind of wondering, and I know a couple other people here are wondering this, if we wanted to deliver some of our services over Zoom. For instance, like my cohort A is overflowing, and my cohort B, I'm gonna have time in my schedule that I could set up a Zoom for those cohort A kids. So in that way, I'm thinking that I want to do some type of like Zoom call where they log in, and maybe I have like a wait list or something. But what would be the most streamlined way for me to get that Zoom link to them where they know let's say every Thursday at 12 o'clock from 12 to 12:30, they're going to have a reading group with me every single week, because I can't put that in their week at a glance. I can't put like this kid name, this is your link at this time. How would you guys recommend specialists do that?
Does anybody have any suggestions for Morgan?
Could you put it in the kids' messages? So just message that to the students? Because my class says Zoom from their message center.
Okay. Yeah. So, because I've been kind of talking about that with like our SLP here, because we were both thinking about doing that, and we're like, well, what's the best way to do this? In the spring we would just email, I just want them to realize that that's like a standing appointment, like every single Thursday. I want them here at this time. So I didn't know if I should even just like make a paper schedule and send it home with them, or really what to do with that. So I thought maybe you guys would have, so maybe a different building has it figured out.
Morgan, did you say you use the same Zoom link for each student? Or would it be a different Zoom for every student you see?
I haven't done it yet, but I think I'm going to use just one Zoom link and then have a wait list.
I have a template that I can send you that Rachel here at East Farms found in a website that's kind of like the Bitmoji classrooms, but it creates a class app.
Okay.
And if they save it to their iPad, they can essentially, when it's their Zoom time and they have their schedule, they click your class app. That probably is like really bad glared, but then they can click the Zoom.
Okay.
And the Zoom link is right there. And then that way you don't have to send it out every time because it's the same live active Zoom that reoccurs. And
Okay.
it's the screen of their iPad that they can access whenever their scheduled group time is.
Okay.
And I can send you the template and all you have to do is delete me out of it and put your stuff in.
Oh, that'd be awesome. So then do I just link that like app to?
So it's
SeeSaw?
actually a Google Slides presentation that's reformatted, that Rachel formatted to fit a phone. And so it's just editing a Google Slides presentation, and then you have to publish it.
Okay.
And then you would take that link, and I would probably take it to Bitly, rename it, and then send that out. So like mine says Miss Thompson Zoom as my link.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. We have to share, so we're all together.
Yeah.
Stephanie, would you mind sharing that with me as well so then I can push that out to people that might want it later?
Yeah, I'll make a copy of mine, and then you can do whatever you want with the copy.
Awesome.
Because it won't.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks so much. Cool.
And like I said, Rachel is the brainchild of that. Rachel.
We'll give her all the credit. All right, guys, it's 2:00, so we need to jump. Thanks for being here today, and we'll see you later.